The great meeting hall of Nexus Prime Station buzzed with conversations in dozens of alien languages. Representatives from 12 major species had gathered for the monthly Galactic Council session. Today was special. Today they would vote on humanity's application to join their peaceful alliance. Ambassador Kang Minho stood at the central podium, his black hair neatly combed and his blue diplomatic uniform pressed to perfection. He looked calm, but his hands trembled slightly as he held the data tablet containing Earth's membership proposal. Behind him, a large screen showed images of human colonies, cities, and peaceful settlements across known space. Honored council members, Kang began, his voice carrying clearly through the translation devices. I present humanity's formal request to join the Galactic Council as full members. The alien delegates leaned forward in their seats. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own inner light. All watched Kang with curious eyes. Council leader Vextar of the Zenthari raised one of his forearms. His purple skin shifted colors as he spoke, showing his interest. The Zenthari were known as the galaxy's greatest warriors, but even they had learned to value peace above all else. Ambassador Kang, Vextar said, his voice deep and rumbling. Tell us about your species' approach to conflict resolution. How do humans handle disagreements between nations? Kang smiled and touched his tablet. The screen behind him showed images of the United Earth Assembly, where representatives from every nation on Earth met to discuss problems. We believe in talking first, Counselor Vextar. When humans disagree, we bring everyone to the table. We share food, we listen to all sides, and we find solutions that help everyone, the crowd murmured with approval. Trade Minister Kulvon of the Helix Confederation nodded his 3 heads. His species looked like tall, thin trees with multiple branches for arms. Most impressive, Ambassador. How long has humanity used this peaceful approach? For over 200 years, Minister Kulvon. Since we formed our world government, humans have settled every major dispute through discussion and compromise. We have not fought a war between human nations in that time. This was true, though Kang did not mention that humans had simply redefined what they called war. The small conflicts, the quick strikes, the surgical operations that solved problems before they became wars had different names in human language. Defense Coordinator Zekrim of the Void Touched leaned forward. His species looked like living shadows with glowing yellow eyes. What about your military, Ambassador Kang? All species need some form of protection. Kang's expression became slightly uncomfortable, as if the question made him nervous. We maintain small security forces for police work and disaster relief. Nothing more than necessary for basic safety. No standing armies? Asked General Mortak of the Stone Wolves. His rock-like skin cracked as he spoke, showing his surprise. We find that large military forces often create the very conflicts they are meant to prevent, Kang replied carefully. Humans prefer to invest in education, medicine, and technology that helps people live better lives. The delegates exchanged glances. This was remarkable. Most species in the galaxy had evolved from predators or had faced terrible wars before learning the value of peace. To find a species that had naturally chosen the path of cooperation was almost unheard of. Counselor Yilneth of the Crystal Singers chimed like wind through glass when she spoke. Tell us about your expansion into space, Ambassador. How do humans establish new colonies? The screen changed to show human settlements on various worlds. The images showed small, peaceful communities with gardens, schools, and research facilities. Humans could be seen working alongside alien species, sharing knowledge and resources. We only settle worlds that no one else claims, Kang explained. Before we build anything, we study the local environment for years to make sure we don't harm it. We invite other species to join our settlements. On New Busan, we have humans, helix traders, and even some Zenthari researchers living together in harmony. Vextar's skin shifted to a warm gold color, showing his pleasure. Your species seems to have mastered something that took us centuries to learn. War brings only destruction. Peace builds civilizations. Exactly, Counselor. Humans learned long ago that helping others helps ourselves. When our neighbors prosper, we all prosper. Minister Kulvon rustled his branch-like arms. What does humanity offer the Galactic Council? What are your species' greatest strengths? Kang's eyes lit up with genuine enthusiasm. We are natural bridge builders, Minister. Humans seem to have a talent for understanding different viewpoints and finding common ground. We're also skilled at taking existing ideas and improving them in unexpected ways. Improving how? asked Defense Coordinator Zekrim. We study everything with fresh eyes. When we learned about Xanthari architecture, we found ways to make it more efficient. When the Helix showed us their trade networks, we discovered routes that cut travel time by 30%. Humans don't just copy what works, we make it work better. The delegates spent another hour asking questions. They wanted to know about human culture, human technology, and human philosophy. Kang answered each question with patience and wisdom, painting a picture of humanity as a species dedicated to peace, cooperation, and gentle improvement of life for all. Finally, Council Leader Vextar called for the vote. All those in favor of granting humanity probationary membership in the Galactic Council? 11 of 12 hands, claws, or appendages rose into the air. Only General Mortok of the Stonewolves abstained, and he explained his position quickly. I do not oppose humanity's membership, the general said. I simply worry about any species that has no warrior tradition. The galaxy can be dangerous. How will humans protect themselves if peaceful words are not enough? Vextar's skin shifted to a deep blue, showing his wisdom. General Mortok raises an important point. Therefore, I propose that Earth and all human colonies be designated as protected peaceful worlds under galactic law. This means Council forces will provide defense if needed, and no military forces may be stationed in human space without our specific approval. The measure passed unanimously. Kang bowed deeply to show his gratitude. As the session ended and the delegates began to leave, Kang gathered his materials and prepared for the long journey back to Earth. He had succeeded beyond his hopes. Not only had humanity been accepted, but they had been granted special protection status. Walking through the station's corridors toward his ship, Kang activated his secure communicator. Control, this is Ambassador Kang, mission accomplished. The Council believes we are exactly what we appear to be. The voice that answered was calm and professional. Understood, Ambassador. Phase 1 complete. Proceed to Phase 2. Kang smiled as he boarded his ship. The galaxy thought humans were peaceful because they chose to be. Soon, they would learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. But that lesson would come later. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council as probationary members. The human colonies were growing faster than anyone had expected. Trade ships arrived daily at human settlements, bringing new technologies and eager alien partners who wanted to work with the peaceful species from Earth. On the frontier world of New Busan, diplomat Lee Soman walked through the busy market square in the center of the colony. The morning air smelled of alien spices and human coffee mixing together. Helix traders with their tree-like bodies stood beside human merchants, comparing goods and laughing at shared jokes. A group of young Xanthari had set up a music performance, their color-changing skin creating beautiful patterns while they played instruments that sounded like singing crystals. Another successful day, Soman said to her assistant, Park Daeho, as they reviewed the trade agreements on their data tablets. The Helix want to double their orders for our processed foods, and the Xanthari research team is asking for permission to build a permanent laboratory here. Park nodded, his round glasses reflecting the morning sun. The Galactic Council protection system is working perfectly. No one bothers us and everyone wants to be our friend. 3 systems away on the research station Aurora, scientist Park Jiho was having the best months of his career. The station floated in the orbit of a gas giant, its clear walls offering a spectacular view of the swirling clouds below. Inside, human and alien researchers worked side by side on projects that would have been impossible for any single species to complete alone. Jiho, come look at this, called his research partner Dr. Vexnara, a female Xanthari whose skin showed excited yellow patterns. The quantum resonance data from your gravity experiments is incredible. If we combine it with our crystal technology, we could create entirely new forms of space travel. Jiho hurried over to her workstation, his eyes wide with interest. For months, he had been working on theoretical physics problems that Earth's scientists had struggled with for decades. But with alien perspectives and technologies, solutions appeared almost daily. This could change everything, Jiho whispered, studying the data. Ships could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Exactly, Vexnara replied, her skin shifting to pleased purple. This is why the Council loves working with humans. You see possibilities where others see only problems. But while human colonies prospered and human scientists made breakthrough discoveries, dark clouds were gathering at the edge of known space. General Thekmor of the Korthak Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, Bone Crusher, staring at star maps that showed human territory. The Korthak were warriors who lived for battle. Their empire had grown through conquest, taking what they wanted from weaker species. For years, the Galactic Council's combined fleets had kept them away from peaceful worlds. But the Korthak were patient predators. These humans, Thekmor growled to his second-in-command, Colonel Vexka. They spread across our expansion route like a disease. Soft little creatures playing at being spacefaring. The Korthak general was twice the height of a human, with gray skin like armor plates and teeth designed for tearing meat. His species had evolved on a harsh world where only the strongest survived, and they brought that philosophy to the stars. The Council protects them, Vexka reminded his leader. Attack a human colony, and we face the combined fleets of 12 species. Thekmor's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. The Council moves slowly. They debate and discuss while we act. If we strike fast and hard, the humans will surrender before their protectors can respond. Who would die for strangers anyway? Meanwhile, Captain Kim Dong-hyun of the human diplomatic vessel Harmony was trying to prevent exactly that scenario. His ship was small and elegant, designed for comfort rather than conflict. He had requested a meeting with Korthak representatives at a neutral space station called Border Point. The meeting room was tense. Captain Kim sat across from Korthak Commander Draktor, who kept his weapons visible as a sign of dominance. Two Galactic Council mediators, a Crystal Singer and a Void Touched, tried to keep the discussion peaceful. Commander Draktor, Kim said calmly, humanity wants only friendship with the Korthak Empire. We have resources that could benefit both our species. Medical technology, agricultural improvements, educational programs. Weakness, Draktor snarled. Your species offers gifts like frightened prey hoping the predator will pass by. The Korthak take what we need. We do not beg for scraps. The Crystal Singer chimed softly, her voice like music. Commander, the Council has established clear boundaries. Human colonies are under our protection. Your protection means nothing. Draktor stood up, his massive form casting shadows across the room. The galaxy belongs to the strong, not to committees of old aliens who have forgotten how to fight. Kim remained seated, his hands folded calmly on the table. Commander, I believe you misunderstand human nature. We choose cooperation because it works better than conflict. That does not make us weak. Draktor leaned over the table, bringing his scarred face close to Kim's. Little diplomat, your species has never faced real danger. When Korthak warriors come for your precious new Busan colony, we will see how peaceful you remain. The meeting ended without agreement. Captain Kim returned to his ship and immediately sent an encrypted message back to Earth. The message was simple. Diplomatic solutions have failed. Korthak aggression imminent. Recommend activation of Protocol 7. On New Busan, Lee Soman noticed changes in the daily reports. Fewer ships were arriving from the outer systems. The Galactic Council peacekeepers seemed nervous, checking their equipment more often and staying closer to their defensive positions. Even the alien traders were asking questions about evacuation procedures. Something is wrong, Park Dae-ho said, as they reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Korthak fleet movements don't match normal patrol patterns. They're concentrating forces near our sector. Soman nodded grimly. Send a message to all human families with children. Suggest they take extended vacations to the inner colonies. Make it sound like a cultural exchange program. At the research station, Aurora, Park Ji-ho received an unexpected communication from Earth's Science Council. His research was being classified immediately, and all data was to be transmitted to secure facilities on Earth. When he asked why, the answer was short. Security concerns. Pack only personal items. Transport arrives in 6 hours. As Ji-ho gathered his belongings, Dr. Vexanara approached him with confusion clear in her skin patterns. I don't understand, Ji-ho. The Council promised to protect all human research. Why are you leaving? Ji-ho looked at his alien friend with sadness in his eyes. Sometimes, Vexnara, protection comes in forms that others don't expect. Back on Earth, in a secure facility buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Han Wusung read the reports from across human space. The Korthak were moving, the Council was hesitating, and human civilians needed protection. He turned to his aide, Colonel Shin Ji-won. How long since we last activated Protocol 7? 137 years, sir. Not since the Titan Rebellion. And our readiness status? All units report full operational capacity. The fleet is prepared for immediate deployment. General Han nodded slowly. Then it's time the galaxy learned something new about humanity. Send the activation codes. And Colonel, yes, sir? Make sure our diplomatic friends understand this was never about being unable to fight. This was always about choosing not to. Far from Earth, hidden in the asteroid belt of the Kepler system, sensors detected the activation signal. Lights began turning on inside what appeared to be empty space. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's greatest diplomatic achievement was convincing everyone they were defenseless. The dance was ending. Soon the music would change completely. The Korthak war fleet moved through space like a pack of metal predators. 50 massive ships, each one designed for destruction, advanced toward the human colony of New Busan. General Techmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the target system grow larger on his displays. In 18 hours, they would arrive and show the galaxy what happened to species that expanded into Korthak territory. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving surrender demands from the Galactic Council. They order us to turn back immediately." Techmore's laughter echoed through the bridge. "Tell them we will discuss terms after we take the human colony. The Council moves too slowly to stop us now." On New Busan, evacuation alarms wailed through the morning air. Lee So-min ran through the streets of the main settlement, helping coordinate the departure of 40,000 human civilians. Galactic Council peacekeepers worked frantically to load transport ships, but everyone knew they did not have enough vessels to save everyone. "How many more ships do we need?" So-min asked Commander Yulneth of the Zinthari peacekeepers. The alien's skin showed dark blue worry patterns. "At least 20 more transports. But the nearest Council fleet is 3 days away. The Korthak will be here tomorrow morning." Park Daeho ran up to them, his face pale with fear. "So-min, the long-range sensors show the size of their fleet. 50 warships. The peacekeepers have only 6 patrol vessels." Around them, human families loaded their possessions onto transport ships. Children cried as their parents tried to explain why they had to leave their homes. Alien traders who had become friends with the humans worked alongside them, sharing their own ships to help with the evacuation. But 10,000 humans would have to stay behind. There simply were not enough ships. On Earth, Ambassador Kang Minho stood in the emergency session of the United Earth Assembly. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from every nation on the planet. President Choi Yuna sat at the center podium, her face serious as she addressed the assembly. "The situation is clear," President Choi said. "The Korthak Empire has rejected all diplomatic solutions. They will attack New Busan in 17 hours. The Galactic Council cannot respond in time." Representative Moon Seojin from the Pacific Federation raised his hand. "Madam President, we knew this day might come when we joined the galactic community. Do we reveal our true capabilities now?" Murmurs filled the assembly hall. For over a century, humanity had hidden its real military strength from the galaxy. The peaceful image they presented was carefully crafted, but underneath lay technologies and strategies that no alien species had ever seen. President Choi looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. "The vote is simple. Do we activate Protocol 7 and reveal the truth about human military capabilities, or do we maintain our peaceful facade and let New Busan fall?" The vote was unanimous. Protocol 7 was activated for the first time in 137 years. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Han Wusung received the authorization codes in his command center. The facility was carved from solid rock, hidden from all surface detection. Around him, officers who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come sprang into action. "Colonel Shin," he called to his aide, "signal the Ghost Fleet. All units are to proceed to New Busan immediately." Colonel Shin Ji-won nodded and began sending the encrypted messages that would change everything. "Sir, Admiral Yu reports the fleet can reach New Busan in 14 hours. We will arrive 4 hours before the Korthak." "Good. And our Marine units?" "Colonel Park's 1st Battalion is already aboard the stealth transports. They are ready for immediate deployment." General Han walked to the massive display screen that showed human space. Red markers indicated Korthak positions, while blue dots showed human colonies and installations. But now, green markers began appearing as hidden human military assets came online for the first time in over a century. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had never stopped preparing for war. They had simply become very good at hiding it. In the asteroid belt of the Kepler system, What had appeared to be empty space began to change. Stealth fields deactivated, revealing a massive military installation built inside hollowed-out asteroids. The base had been constructed over decades, using mining operations as cover for the real work. Admiral Yu Taewan stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Soul's Pride, the flagship of humanity's hidden fleet. The ship was 3 kilometers long and packed with weapons technology that had been developed in secret for over a century. Around him, 49 other vessels prepared for their first real combat mission. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Nam Hee-jin. "All ships report ready. Stealth systems are operating at full efficiency. The Korthak will not detect us until we choose to reveal ourselves." "And our intelligence on Korthak capabilities?" Admiral Yu asked. "Complete, sir. We have been studying their technology for 30 years through diplomatic channels and trade interactions. Our weapons are designed specifically to counter their defenses." Admiral Yu nodded. Humanity had not just been building ships in secret. They had been learning everything they could about every potential enemy in the galaxy, all while maintaining the appearance of innocent curiosity. On the research station Aurora, the last human scientists were preparing to evacuate when they received an unexpected message. Dr. Park Ji-ho read the communication, twice before he understood what it meant. "Vexenara," he called to his Zenthari colleague. "I have to tell you something important. The quantum drive technology we developed together was never just for exploration." The alien scientist's skin showed confused yellow patterns. "What do you mean, Ji-ho?" "Humans have been preparing for this day since we joined the galaxy. Every collaboration, every research project, every friendly trade agreement has also been intelligence gathering. We needed to understand alien technology so we could defend against it." Vexenara's skin shifted to shocked white. "You mean your entire species has been lying to us?" Ji-ho shook his head sadly. "Not lying. We really do prefer peace, but we learned long ago that hoping for peace is not enough. You have to be ready to fight for it." As the evacuation ships left Aurora Station, Ji-ho looked back at the research facility where he had spent the happiest months of his career. Soon his alien colleagues would understand that humanity's greatest strength was not their peaceful nature, but their ability to prepare for war while genuinely working for peace. On New Busan, the last transport ships lifted off into the night sky. Lee So-min stood in the empty market square where she had negotiated so many successful trade deals. 10,000 humans had volunteered to stay behind, including herself and Park Dae-ho. They could not save everyone, but they could document what happened when the Korthak arrived. "So-min," Park said quietly, "do you think Earth will really send help?" She looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, human ships were moving through the darkness. "Park, I think the galaxy is about to learn something very important about our species. In 18 hours, the Korthak fleet would arrive expecting to find defenseless humans ready to surrender. Instead, they would encounter something that no alien species had ever seen. The true military might of humanity unleashed after more than a century of careful preparation. The storm was approaching, and it would change everything. The Korthak invasion fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Busan system. General Thekmore smiled as his sensors showed him exactly what he had expected: a small human colony protected by only 6 Galactic Council patrol ships. The evacuation transports were still fleeing toward the outer planets, moving slowly with their civilian cargo. "Perfect," Thekmore growled. "The humans run like prey animals. Signal the colony. Demand their immediate surrender." On the planet below, Lee So-min received the transmission in the colony's communication center. The 10,000 humans who had remained behind watched as General Thekmore's massive form appeared on their screens. "Humans of New Busan," the Korthak commander announced, his voice filled with contempt. "Your Galactic Council protectors cannot help you. Surrender now, and some of you may live as servants in the Korthak Empire. Resist, and we will burn your world." So-min looked around at the faces of her fellow colonists. These were farmers, teachers, merchants, and engineers. None of them looked afraid. Instead, they looked determined. "General Thekmore," So-min replied calmly, "humanity thanks you for this demonstration of Korthak intentions. Your message has been recorded and transmitted to the Galactic Council. We decline your generous offer." Thekmore's roar of anger echoed across the communication channel before the transmission ended. "Begin orbital bombardment." The Korthak general ordered, "Destroy their major cities. Leave enough survivors to serve as an example to other species." The 50 Korthak warships moved into attack formation above New Busan, their weapons charged with deadly energy, preparing to rain destruction on the human colony below. The 6 Galactic Council patrol ships moved to intercept, but everyone knew they could not stop such a large force. Then something impossible happened. "Sir," reported the Korthak sensor officer, his voice filled with confusion, "I am detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Multiple contacts appearing from nowhere." General Thekmore turned to his displays and felt his blood turn cold. Surrounding his fleet were ships unlike anything he had ever seen. They had appeared without warning, as if they had been hiding in empty space itself. Admiral Yu Tae-wan stood on the bridge of Seoul's Pride as his fleet decloaked around the Korthak formation. The human dreadnought was larger than any Korthak vessel, its hull covered with weapon systems that hummed with barely contained power. "This is Admiral Yu Tae-wan of the Human Defense Fleet," his voice broadcast on all frequencies. "You have entered human territory with hostile intent. You have one chance to withdraw immediately." Thekmore stared at the human ships in disbelief. "Impossible. Humans have no military fleet. Our intelligence confirms they are a peaceful species." "Your intelligence was wrong," Admiral Yu replied calmly. "You now have 30 seconds to begin your withdrawal." "Attack!" Thekmore screamed. "All ships open fire on the human vessels. Destroy them." The Korthak fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons, missile swarms, and energy beams filled space with deadly light. But when the weapons struck the human ships, they found shields unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The attacks were absorbed and redirected, causing minimal damage. "Admiral," reported Lieutenant Commander Nam, "enemy weapons are performing exactly as our simulations predicted. Their technology is 60 years behind our current defensive systems." Admiral Yu nodded. "Return fire. Disable their engines first. We want prisoners for questioning." The human fleet responded with surgical precision. Each shot was calculated to damage specific systems without destroying entire ships. Within minutes, half the Korthak fleet was dead in space. Their engines disabled, but their crews alive. But the real shock came when the first wave of human Marines launched toward New Busan itself. Colonel Shin Ji-won led her Marines in atmospheric drop pods that fell like meteors through the planet's sky. Each pod contained 5 soldiers wearing armor that seemed to bend light around it, making them nearly invisible to Korthak sensors. The Korthak ground forces had already landed near the main human settlement, expecting to face frightened civilians. Instead, they found themselves under attack by soldiers who moved like ghosts through the battlefield. Sergeant Nam Hyejin crouched behind a rocky outcrop, watching Korthak warriors advance toward the human colony. Her squad of 4 Marines waited for her signal. Through their helmet displays, they could see the exact position of every enemy soldier. "Remember," she whispered into her communication device, "we want prisoners. Disable, don't destroy." Her Marines nodded. They had trained for this moment their entire careers, studying Korthak physiology and psychology, to find the most efficient ways to neutralize them without killing. The attack began with silence. Korthak soldiers simply began disappearing from their formations. One moment a warrior would be advancing with his squad. The next moment he would be gone, dragged away by invisible hands faster than his comrades could react. "What is happening?" shouted Korthak Commander Vexkol. "Where are my soldiers going?" Private Bei Sunwoo moved through the Korthak formation like a shadow. His armor's stealth system made him nearly invisible, while his non-lethal weapons disabled enemies with electromagnetic pulses that disrupted their nervous systems. Each Korthak soldier fell unconscious without ever seeing their attacker. Within 2 hours, the entire Korthak ground force had been captured. Not a single Marine had been injured, and only 3 Korthak soldiers had died, all from accidents during their own panicked retreat. In space, Admiral Yu watched as the last Korthak ships either surrendered or were disabled by his fleet. General Thekmore's flagship was boarded by human Marines who moved through the ship's corridors like they had studied its layout for years, because they had. "Admiral," reported Captain Kim Woo-bin, leader of the boarding party, "the Korthak command ship is secured. General Thekmore is alive but unconscious. His officers are cooperating fully." "Excellent," Admiral Yu replied. "Begin downloading their military databases." I want to know everything about Korthak fleet movements and strategic plans. On New Busan, Colonel Shin gathered her Marines in the colony's central square. Around them, human civilians emerged from their shelters to see Korthak prisoners being treated with medical care and dignity. The alien warriors looked confused and defeated. Lee Summon approached Colonel Shin with amazement clear on her face. "Colonel, I don't understand. Where did this fleet come from? How did you get here so fast?" Colonel Shin removed her helmet, revealing a young woman with short black hair and calm eyes. "Ms. Lee, humanity has been preparing for this possibility since the day we joined the Galactic community. We hoped we would never need these capabilities, but we were ready when the time came. But the Galactic Council believes we are a peaceful species with no military." "We are a peaceful species," Colonel Shin replied, "but peace must be defended. We learned that lesson long ago in our history." As news of the Battle of New Busan spread across the galaxy, alien governments struggled to understand what had happened. The species they had protected as peaceful pacifists had just defeated the most aggressive military force in known space. The humans had won a complete victory in less than 4 hours. They had captured an entire invasion fleet almost intact, with minimal casualties on either side. It was a display of military superiority that left every alien strategist stunned, but the most shocking discovery was yet to come. As Galactic Intelligence Services began analyzing the human technology used in the battle, they realized that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. The peaceful farmers and scientists they had befriended were also the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 12 hours after the Battle of New Busan ended. Representatives from all 12 species gathered on Nexus Prime Station, their faces showing shock, confusion, and in some cases, fear. The great meeting hall buzzed with nervous conversations in dozens of languages. Council leader Vextar called for order, his purple skin showing deep blue patterns of uncertainty. "We are here to discuss the recent events at New Busan. Before we begin, I want to review what we know happened." The main display screen showed recordings from the battle. Alien delegates watched in stunned silence as the human fleet appeared from nowhere, systematically disabled the entire Korthak invasion force, and completed the most one-sided military victory in galactic history. 50 Korthak warships, Vextar continued. The same force that destroyed 3 Helix colonies and fought our combined fleets to a stalemate for 2 years. Defeated in 4 hours by a species we classified as peaceful pacifists. Trade Minister Kulvan's 3 heads shook in disbelief. "Where did these ships come from?" "Our intelligence services found no evidence of human military construction. We monitored their colonies, their trade routes, their research stations." Defense Coordinator Zekrim's shadow-like form flickered with agitation. "More importantly, how advanced is their technology? Our analysis of the battle recording shows weapons and defensive systems decades ahead of anything in the galaxy." General Mortak of the Stone Wolves stood up, his rock-like skin cracking with emotion. "I warned you all 6 months ago. No species survives in this galaxy without the ability to defend itself. The humans simply hid their strength better than anyone expected." The debate was interrupted when Ambassador Kang Minho entered the chamber. The human diplomat walked calmly to the central podium, his expression serious but not apologetic. Behind him, the display screen showed new images. Massive construction facilities hidden inside asteroids, research stations disguised as mining operations, and manufacturing centers that had been producing advanced military technology for decades. "Honored council members," Kang began, "I am here to provide you with the complete truth about humanity's capabilities and intentions." The hall fell silent. Every alien delegate leaned forward to hear what the human ambassador would reveal. "Everything we told you about human nature was accurate," Kang continued. "We genuinely prefer peaceful solutions to conflicts. We truly believe that cooperation builds better civilizations than conquest. We honestly want to be friends with all species in the galaxy." Counselor Yilneth of the Crystal Singers chimed with confusion. "Then why did you hide your military strength? Why deceive the council?" Kang's expression remained calm. "We did not deceive anyone, Counselor. We simply did not volunteer information that was not requested. When you asked about our approach to diplomacy, we told you the truth. When you asked about our colonies, we showed you exactly what we built. When you asked about our military, We gave you honest answers about our philosophy. But you never mentioned your fleet, Vexstar pointed out, his skin showing orange frustration patterns. You never asked about our fleet, Kang replied simply. You asked about standing armies and military forces on our worlds. We answered truthfully that we maintain only small security forces for police work and disaster relief. The alien delegates exchanged glances as they began to understand the careful precision of human language during the membership negotiations. Minister Kulvon rustled his branch-like arms nervously. Ambassador Kang, are you telling us that humanity has been preparing for war while preaching peace? No, Minister. I am telling you that humanity has been preparing to defend peace while genuinely working to make war unnecessary. There is a significant difference. Admiral Yu Taiwan entered the chamber, still wearing his military uniform from the battle. His presence caused several alien delegates to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Council members, Admiral Yu said, I commanded the human forces at New Busan. I want to explain what you witnessed yesterday. He activated his data tablet, and the main screen showed detailed schematics of human military technology. For over 100 years, humanity has been developing defensive capabilities in secret. We studied every species in the galaxy, learned about their technologies, their tactics, their strengths and weaknesses. You were spying on us, General Mortok accused. We were learning from you, Admiral Yu corrected. Every trade agreement included technology exchanges. Every research collaboration provided new knowledge. Every diplomatic meeting gave us insight into galactic military doctrine. But we used this information defensively, not aggressively. Lieutenant Colonel Bei Sunwoo stepped forward, her Marine uniform marking her as one of the soldiers who had fought on New Busan. Council members, I want to address concerns about human military capability. Yesterday, my unit captured 300 Korthak soldiers. We lost 0 Marines. More importantly, only 3 enemy soldiers died, and those deaths were accidental. The alien delegates murmured with surprise. In galactic warfare, casualty rates were typically much higher. How is that possible? Asked Defense Coordinator Zekrim. Because we designed our weapons and tactics specifically to disable rather than destroy, Bei explained. Humans learned long ago that dead enemies cannot become future friends. We built our military to end conflicts quickly with minimal loss of life on both sides. Council Leader Vextar's skin showed thoughtful purple patterns. You are saying that humanity developed the galaxy's most advanced military, specifically to avoid using it? Ambassador Kang nodded. Exactly, Council Leader. We believe that the best way to prevent war is to be so obviously capable of winning it that no one wants to fight you. Yesterday, General Tekmor attacked New Busan because he believed humans were weak. He will never make that mistake again. But what about the Galactic Council? Asked Councillor Yilnith. We offered to protect human colonies. Did you not trust us? We trusted you completely, Kang replied. But we also understood that you move carefully and deliberately as you should. The Council prevented 3 major wars through patient negotiation. But sometimes patience is not fast enough. Yesterday you could not have reached New Busan in time to stop the Korthak attack. Admiral Yu added, the Council's protection was never meaningless to us. Your moral authority prevented most conflicts from starting. Our military capabilities were always meant to handle the exceptions, the cases where diplomacy alone was not sufficient. Trade Minister Kulvon asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Admiral Yu, how powerful is the human military? Could you defeat the combined fleets of the Galactic Council? The chamber fell silent. This was the fear that had been growing in every alien mind since the battle recordings were analyzed. Admiral Yu considered his answer carefully. Minister, that is the wrong question. The correct question is, would we ever want to fight the Galactic Council? And the answer is absolutely not. You are our friends, our trading partners, our research collaborators. We joined this council because we believe in what you represent. But could you? General Mortok pressed. General, Kang interjected, humanity could probably defeat any single species in the galaxy in direct military conflict. But we would never want to, because military victory would mean the destruction of everything we actually care about. We want to explore the galaxy with Zenthari scientists, trade resources with Helix merchants, and learn music from crystal singers. None of that is possible if we are fighting wars. Lieutenant Colonel Bei stepped forward again. Council members, I want to share something personal. Yesterday I fought alongside Marines who had trained their entire lives for combat they hoped would never come. When the battle ended, they did not celebrate victory. They were sad that peaceful solutions had failed. Sad? Asked Vextar. Every human soldier would prefer to be building schools or hospitals instead of fighting battles. We are good at war because we hate it enough to end it quickly. The session continued for hours as alien delegates tried to understand the human approach to military power. Gradually, a new picture emerged of humanity, not as secret conquerors, but as reluctant guardians who had prepared for the worst while working for the best. Finally, Council Leader Vextar called for a break in the discussions. As the alien delegates filed out of the chamber, many approached the human representatives with new respect and, in some cases, relief. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's greatest deception was not hiding their strength, but convincing everyone that strength and peace were opposites. 3 months after the Battle of New Busan, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Galactic Council chambers hummed with a different energy, as representatives from all member species gathered for the formal review of humanity's membership status. Council Leader Vextar stood at the central podium, his skin showing confident gold patterns that had not been seen since before the Korthak Wars began. Behind him, the main display showed a star map of the galaxy with dramatically fewer red zones marking areas of conflict. Fellow council members, Vextar announced, today we vote on humanity's transition from probationary to full membership. But first, let us review the changes that have occurred since the New Busan incident. The display shifted to show shipping lanes that had been closed for years due to piracy and aggression. Green lines now marked safe passage through regions that had been too dangerous for civilian traffic. The Korthak Empire has requested formal peace negotiations, Vextar continued. General Thekmore himself has asked to address the council about establishing new diplomatic relationships. Murmurs of amazement filled the chamber. The Korthak had never requested peace talks with anyone. They had always taken what they wanted by force. Trade Minister Kulvon rustled his branch-like arms with satisfaction. The improvement in galactic commerce has been remarkable. Trade routes that we abandoned decades ago are now safe for merchant vessels. Our economic growth this quarter exceeded projections by 300%. Defense Coordinator Zekriam flickered with what might have been amusement. More significantly, we have received friendship requests from 17 species that previously considered the Council too weak to be worth joining. Apparently, having humans as allies makes us much more attractive partners. Ambassador Kang Minho entered the chamber along with several other human representatives, but today he was not alone. General Han Wusung walked beside him, wearing his dress uniform with quiet dignity. Admiral Yu Taewan and Colonel Shin Ji-wan followed, representing the military forces that had remained hidden for over a century. Ambassador Kang, Vextar said warmly, please present humanity's formal application for full council membership. Kang approached the podium with a smile. Council Leader Vextar, honored delegates, humanity is grateful for the opportunity to become full partners in the galactic community. We offer our complete commitment to the Council's principles of peace, cooperation, and mutual prosperity. And what does humanity offer the Council in terms of defensive capabilities? Asked General Mortok, though his rocky features showed approval rather than suspicion. General Han stepped forward. General Mortok, humanity offers the Council something we call peace through strength. Our military exists to make war unnecessary, not to wage it. We propose a new approach to galactic security. The main display changed to show strategic maps of the galaxy, with human ships positioned at key locations. But these were not invasion forces. They were clearly positioned to protect trade routes and defend peaceful worlds. The human defense fleet will establish permanent stations at critical points throughout Council space, Admiral Yu explained. Our ships will patrol trade routes, respond to emergencies, and serve as a deterrent against aggression. But they will always operate under Council authority. Councillor Yilneth chimed with interest. Admiral, are you offering to place human military forces under Council command? Not just offering, Councillor. Insisting on it. Human military power should serve galactic peace, not human interests alone. This statement caused excited discussions throughout the chamber. No species had ever volunteered to subordinate their military to Council oversight. Colonel Shin approached the podium next. Council members, I want to address concerns about human marines and ground forces. 3 months ago, my soldiers captured an entire Korthak army without losing a single life on either side. Today, many of those same Korthak soldiers are working with human engineers to rebuild the worlds their empire damaged. How is that possible? Asked Trade Minister Kulvon. Because we treated them with respect even after defeating them, Shin replied. Humans learned long ago that enemies who are defeated with honor can become allies. Enemies who are humiliated or destroyed can only become future problems. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity was not just offering military protection. They were offering a completely new approach to conflict resolution. Dr. Park Ji-ho entered the chamber, representing the human scientific community. Behind him walked Dr. Vexnara, the Zenthari researcher who had worked with him on the quantum drive project. Council members, Dr. Park said, I want to address concerns about human deception in our research collaborations. Dr. Vexnara and I developed technology that could revolutionize space travel. Some of you worry that humans use this research for military purposes. Dr. Vexnara's skin showed pleasant blue patterns as she spoke. Council members, I have reviewed all of Dr. Park's research. Yes, the quantum drive technology could be adapted for military use, but the humans shared this technology with us immediately and completely. They could have kept it secret, but they chose transparency. Furthermore, Dr. Park added, humanity is proposing to establish joint research stations throughout the galaxy, human and alien scientists working together on projects that benefit everyone. We believe that shared knowledge makes war impossible. Lee Soman stepped forward to represent the human civilian colonies. Council members, I want to tell you what life is like on New Busan now, 3 months after the battle. The display showed images of the human colony, but it looked very different from before. The settlement had expanded dramatically, with new buildings designed to accommodate multiple species. Human children played alongside young Zenthari, while Helix traders conducted business with human merchants in markets that bustled with activity from a dozen different species. The Korthak soldiers who were captured during the battle asked to stay on New Busan, Lee continued. They are now working as security officers protecting the very colony they once tried to destroy. They say they never understood what peace looked like until they saw how humans live with their neighbors. Commander Draktor, the former Korthak officer who had threatened Captain Kim months earlier, stood up in the gallery section reserved for observers. His massive form had changed somehow. He no longer carried weapons, and his scarred face showed something that looked almost like contentment. Council members, Draktor said, his voice much quieter than before. I request permission to speak. Vextar looked surprised but nodded. Permission granted, Commander. I came to this system to conquer human worlds and prove Korthak's strength. Instead, I learned what strength actually means. Draktor's voice carried across the silent chamber. Humans defeated my forces without hatred. They captured my soldiers without cruelty. They treated our wounded alongside their own. This is not weakness. This is power beyond anything my empire ever understood, the Korthak commander continued. My people want to join the Galactic Council. We want to learn this human way of being strong enough to be peaceful. We offer our warriors not as conquerors but as protectors of the peace we never knew was possible. The chamber erupted in amazed conversations. The most aggressive species in the galaxy was asking to become peacekeepers. Captain Kim Dong-yun, the diplomatic officer who had tried unsuccessfully to negotiate with the Korthak months earlier, approached the podium with a smile. Council members, Kim said, this is what human diplomacy actually looks like. We negotiate from a position of strength, but we negotiate for everyone's benefit. We could have destroyed the Korthak Empire. Instead, we chose to show them a better way to be strong. Council leader Vexitar looked around the chamber at faces showing amazement, relief, and hope. Ambassador Kang, does humanity accept full responsibility for galactic security as a council member? We accept the honor and the burden, council leader, but we do not want to carry it alone. Humanity proposes a new model, integrated defense forces with human technology and tactics, but including officers and soldiers from all council species. General Han stepped forward again. We want Zenthari strategists working alongside human marines. We want Helix logistics specialists coordinating with our fleet commanders. We want Crystal Singer communications experts integrating their abilities with our technology. Together, we can build a defense force that represents all of our values. The vote was unanimous. Humanity became a full member of the Galactic Council, with a mandate to reshape galactic security. As the session ended and delegates began to leave, small groups formed throughout the chamber. Human and alien representatives talked excitedly about joint projects, shared technologies, and cooperative ventures that had seemed impossible just months before. In one corner, Colonel Shin showed Xanthari officers training videos of human Marines. The aliens watched with fascination as the soldiers moved with precision and discipline, but always with rules of engagement designed to minimize casualties. Near the main display, Admiral Yu discussed fleet coordination with commanders from 6 different species. They were planning patrol routes that would protect trade ships carrying goods between worlds that had been enemies just a few months earlier. Ambassador Kang stood with Council Leader Vextar, looking out through the great windows of Nexus Prime at the stars beyond. "Ambassador," Vextar said, his skin showing deep satisfaction, "I have one final question. Why did humanity really join the Galactic Council? What did you hope to accomplish?" Kang smiled as he watched ships from a dozen different species docking at the station. Human vessels worked alongside alien craft in perfect coordination. "Council Leader, humans learned something important during our own history. The strongest military in the galaxy is meaningless if you have no one to protect and no one to call friend. We joined the Council because we wanted to be part of something bigger than just one species. And now we have something worth fighting for," Kang replied. "A galaxy where children of different species play together, where traders share profits across species lines, where scientists solve problems that no single world could handle alone. That is worth any sacrifice." As if to prove his point, a group of young beings ran past the observation windows. Human children chased alongside young Xanthari, whose skin flashed with joy, while small helix saplings rustled with laughter. They were playing a game that seemed to involve elements from all their different cultures. "Those children," Vextar observed, "will grow up thinking it is normal for different species to be friends and allies." "That is the real victory," Kang agreed. "Not the battle we won, but the future we made possible." 5 years later, historians would mark the Battle of New Busan as the turning point in galactic civilization. Not because of the military victory, but because it was the day the galaxy learned that true strength comes from protecting others, not conquering them. The human defense fleet became the most respected military force in known space, not because they won every battle, but because they prevented most battles from happening at all. Their ships patrolled trade routes where merchant vessels from former enemy species now traveled safely together. The Korthak integration program became a model for transforming warrior cultures into protector societies. Former Korthak generals worked alongside human strategists to design defensive systems that made aggression pointless. Joint research stations throughout the galaxy produced technological advances that benefited everyone. The quantum drive technology that Dr. Park and Dr. Vexnara developed together cut travel times between distant worlds from months to days, making the galaxy feel smaller and more connected. But perhaps most importantly, children across hundreds of worlds grew up with a simple understanding. Different species could be friends, allies, and family. War was something that happened in history books, not something they needed to fear. Ambassador Kang, now serving as the first human council leader, often told visitors about the day humanity revealed its true nature to the galaxy. He would explain that humans had never lied about wanting peace. They had simply understood something that took the rest of the galaxy longer to learn. Peace is not the absence of strength. Peace is strength used wisely. And in a galaxy where strength served peace instead of conquest, everyone was stronger together than any single species could ever be alone. The galaxy had learned to trust humans not because they were peaceful, but because their power made everyone else more peaceful too. In the end, that was the greatest victory of all. 10 years had passed since the Battle of New Busan changed everything. The galaxy looked very different now. Where once there had been contested borders and fearful colonies, thriving worlds hosted citizens from dozens of different species living and working together. Commander Lee Jin-hyuk of the Galactic Defense Force stood on the observation deck of the massive space station Unity 1, watching ships from across the galaxy dock at the multi-species facility. His uniform showed the combined symbols of all council member species, including the newest additions that had joined after seeing what peaceful cooperation could accomplish. Commander called Lieutenant Yoon Mirai, a young officer whose parents had been among the colonists saved at New Busan. The morning briefing is ready. Lee nodded and followed her to the command center. Unity 1 was the largest space station ever built, a joint project of 15 species working together. It served as the headquarters for the Galactic Defense Force, the integrated military organization that had grown from humanity's original proposal years earlier. The command center buzzed with quiet efficiency. Human officers worked alongside Xanthari tacticians, Helix communications specialists, and even former Korthak warriors who now served as peacekeeping experts. At the central holographic display, Admiral Park Kyung-min reviewed the daily security reports. "Good morning, Commander Lee," Admiral Park said as he approached. "I have excellent news to report. For the 8th consecutive month, we have recorded 0 military conflicts anywhere in Council space." Lee smiled. "What about the Outer Rim territories, Admiral?" "Even better. The stellar nomads who refused to join the Council 5 years ago have sent ambassadors requesting membership talks. Apparently, their young people are tired of living on ships when they could be building homes on peaceful worlds." Lieutenant Yoon pulled up holographic displays showing the current state of the galaxy. Green zones marked areas under Council protection, which now covered 87% of known space. The few remaining independent regions were not hostile territories, but simply isolated systems that preferred minimal contact with the larger galactic community. "Admiral?" Lee asked. "What is the status of Project Harmony?" Admiral Park's expression brightened. Project Harmony was humanity's latest contribution to galactic peace, a massive educational and cultural exchange program that brought young beings from different species together to learn from each other. "The first graduating class will complete their studies next month," Admiral Park reported. 3,000 young beings from 42 different species, all trained in diplomacy, science, engineering, and peacekeeping. They will return to their homeworlds as ambassadors for cooperation. On the planet New Busan, now grown into one of the galaxy's most important diplomatic centers, Ambassador Choi Jisoo walked through the memorial gardens with a group of visiting dignitaries from newly contacted species. The gardens honored all those who had died in the old conflicts, including Korthak soldiers who had fallen during their aggressive expansion wars. "This memorial," Ambassador Choi explained to her guests, "represents something important about galactic civilization now. We remember the cost of conflict not to celebrate victory, but to ensure we never forget why peace is worth protecting." The visiting aliens, representatives of a warrior culture from the galaxy's far edge, studied the memorial with thoughtful expressions. Their species, the Forge Masters, had been contacted by exploration teams and were considering joining the galactic community. Ambassador Choi asked War Leader Kethvin of the Forge Masters, "Your species defeated the mighty Korthak Empire, yet you honor their dead equally with your own. This is difficult for my people to understand." "War Leader," Choi replied gently. "The Korthak soldiers who died here were not evil beings. They were warriors following orders from leaders who believed strength meant conquest. When we showed them that strength could mean protection instead, most of them chose a different path." She gestured to a section of the gardens where former Korthak commander Draktor worked with human and alien students, teaching them about the mistakes his empire had made and how to avoid repeating them. "Commander Draktor was once our enemy," Choi continued. "Now he is one of our most valued teachers. His students learn from his experiences so they can build better futures for their own worlds." War Leader Kethvin watched the former Korthak commander patiently explaining something to a mixed group of young beings from 6 different species. "And your people trust him completely?" "We trust the choice he made to become something better than he was," Choi answered. "That is what we offer all species, the chance to choose cooperation over conquest." Back on Earth, in the deep command centers that had once been humanity's greatest secret, General Han Wusong prepared for retirement. After 40 years of military service, 30 of them spent preparing for wars he hoped would never come. He was ready to step down and let younger officers take responsibility for galactic security. "General," said his replacement, General Song Yoonji, "the final reports from all sectors show the same pattern. Peace is not just holding, it is expanding. Species that have fought for centuries are now trading partners and research collaborators." General Han nodded with satisfaction. "Song, when I started this job, our greatest fear was that humanity would have to fight alone against a hostile galaxy. Instead, we discovered that most species want the same things we do. safe homes, prosperous communities, and bright futures for their children. What do you think made the difference, sir? General Han considered the question carefully. I think we succeeded because we never forgot that our enemies were also someone else's families. When you fight to protect rather than to conquer, you can afford to show mercy, and Mercy Song is the most powerful weapon in the universe. On the research station Aurora, now expanded into a massive complex hosting scientists from dozens of species, Dr. Park Ji-ho worked on his latest project with an international team. His Zenthari partner Dr. Vexnara had become one of his. They had trained hundreds of young researchers in the principles of cooperative science. Ji-ho, Dr. Vexnara said, her skin showing excited yellow patterns. The quantum communication network is ready for final testing. If this works, every world in the galaxy will be able to share information instantaneously. Dr. Park smiled as he reviewed the data. The project represented contributions from 15 different species, each adding their unique perspective to solve problems that no single world could have tackled alone. Vexnara, do you remember 10 years ago when you asked me if humans had been lying about our peaceful intentions? Her skin shifted to amused purple. I do remember. I was quite shocked to learn about your hidden military capabilities. And what do you think now? Now I understand that you were not lying about wanting peace. You were simply smart enough to prepare for the possibility that others might not want peace as much as you did. The result is that we now live in a galaxy where peace is the normal state of affairs. Dr. Park activated the quantum communication network. Instantly, messages began flowing between worlds across the galaxy. Research discoveries, cultural exchanges, trade agreements, and simple personal communications between friends of different species who lived light years apart. Vexnara, I think this network represents something important. When beings can communicate freely across any distance, it becomes much harder to fear or hate each other. In the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime, now expanded to accommodate representatives from 37 member species, Council Leader Kang Minho called the monthly session to order. The human ambassador had been elected to lead the council for 3 consecutive terms, not because of humanity's military strength, but because of their proven ability to find solutions that benefited everyone. Fellow council members, Kang announced, today marks the 10th anniversary of humanity's full membership in our organization. I want to take this opportunity to reflect on what we have accomplished together. The main display showed statistics that would have seemed impossible a decade earlier. Interspecies trade had increased by over 2,000%. Joint research projects had solved problems from galaxy-wide diseases to resource shortages that had plagued worlds for centuries. Most remarkably, the last military conflict between council members had occurred 7 years ago, and it had been resolved through mediation rather than warfare. But our greatest achievement, Kang continued, is not measured in numbers. It is measured in the experiences of beings like these. The display changed to show images from across the galaxy. A human doctor working in a Korthak hospital, saving the lives of beings whose ancestors had once been enemies. Zenthari children learning mathematics from Helix teachers whose species had fought bitter wars for generations. Crystal singer artists creating music with human composers, producing art that neither species could have imagined alone. 10 years ago, many of you feared that humanity's military strength would disrupt the balance of galactic civilization. Instead, that strength became the foundation for a peace more stable and prosperous than any of us had dared to hope for. Trade Minister Kulvon, now elderly but still sharp, rustled his branch-like arms with satisfaction. Council Leader Kang, I want to ask you something that has puzzled me for years. Did humanity plan this outcome from the beginning? Kang smiled. Minister, we hoped for it, but we could never have planned it. What we planned was to be strong enough to protect our friends and generous enough to turn enemies into allies. The rest happened because beings throughout the galaxy made the same choice, to build rather than destroy, to cooperate rather than compete, to trust rather than fear. General Mortuck of the Stone Wolves, now one of humanity's strongest supporters, cracked his rocky features in what passed for a smile among his people. Council Leader, my species has a saying. The strongest fortress is built on the foundation of willing allies. Humanity taught the galaxy that strength shared is strength multiplied. As the session ended, representatives from the various species mingled in the station's common areas. The sight that would have shocked observers a decade earlier was now completely normal. Beings from dozens of different evolutionary paths talking, laughing and working together as naturally as if they had always been friends. Admiral Yu Taiwan, now serving as the Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, met with his staff to review long-term strategic planning. But these meetings were very different from the old military briefings. Instead of planning for wars, they coordinated humanitarian missions, exploration expeditions, and peaceful first contact protocols for the new species that exploration teams encountered at the galaxy's edge. Admiral, reported Captain Nam Hyejin, formerly a Marine sergeant and now commanding her own exploration vessel. The deep space surveys have identified 17 systems that show signs of developing civilizations. How should we approach first contact? Carefully and patiently, Admiral Yu replied. Send cultural specialists first, not military officers. Let these new species see us as explorers and friends, not as potential conquerors. And remember, every first contact is a chance to expand the community of civilized worlds. Sir, asked Colonel Shin Jiwan, now Director of Peacekeeping Operations, what if we encounter species that are aggressive or hostile? Then we respond exactly as we did with the Korthak, Colonel. We defend ourselves effectively, but we also demonstrate that there is a better way to be strong. Most aggressive species are that way because they fear weakness, not because they love war. On New Busan, in the central square where the first human-alien trade agreements had been signed, a statue commemorated the Battle of New Busan, but it did not show human Marines in combat. Instead, it depicted a human soldier helping a wounded Korthak warrior, while alien and human children played together in the background. The inscription read, "Strength is not proven by the enemies you destroy, but by the friends you protect and the futures you build." Lee Soman, now serving as Director of Colonial Affairs, often brought visitors to see the statue. Today, she was showing it to a delegation from the Forge Masters, the warrior species considering council membership. Director Lee, asked War Leader Kethavan, this statue confuses my people. Why do you honor mercy rather than victory? Because victory ends when the battle is over, Lee replied. But mercy creates possibilities that last for generations. The Korthak soldier in this statue was once our enemy. His children now attend schools with human children, learning to solve problems together instead of fighting over them. War Leader Kethavan studied the statue for a long moment. My people have always believed that strength comes from conquest. But looking at this galaxy now, I see that your way has created something we never achieved through warfare, a civilization where everyone is stronger together. That is the choice before every species, War Leader. You can be the strongest warrior in a small territory, or you can be part of the strongest community in the galaxy. As the sun set over New Busan, the evening brought ships from across the galaxy to the busy spaceport. Traders, diplomats, scientists, students, and families traveled freely between worlds that had once been separated by fear and hostility. In classrooms throughout the galaxy, teachers of many species told their students about the day the galaxy learned that true strength serves peace, not war. They explained how humanity had hidden their military power not from shame, but from wisdom, understanding that the best weapon is one you never have to use. But perhaps the most important lesson was taught not in schools, but in the daily lives of beings who had grown up in a galaxy where cooperation was normal, where different species were neighbors and friends, and where the idea of war between civilized worlds seemed as ancient and obsolete as the old legend said it was. The human gift to the galaxy had not been their advanced technology or their superior tactics. It had been their understanding that peace is not weakness, but the ultimate expression of strength wisely used. And in a galaxy where that lesson had been learned by beings of every species, the future stretched ahead with possibilities that no single world could have imagined alone.